What's the situation with Rashford as well? Like, because obviously his loan time at Villa's going to be up. Like, is he from your Man United connections? That's why I'm asking you. Is he going?
I don't see that changing. I don't see Rashford coming back into Man United and them going right with open arms. Right, you've gone and rejuvenated yourself and rebuilt yourself. You're rehabilitated. We're going to welcome you back in. Let's go. I don't think that was ever the conversation. I just always thought it was like, you go to Villa or wherever you're going to go, rebuild yourself, reboot, let's reset,
and then you're gone.
And then you're gone. You go somewhere else. Someone buys you. If not Aston Villa, I still think that's where they're sat now. The only way he maybe gets back in is if there's no takers for a loan or for a permanent, and he's in there. So you've got to. But then the manager's got to make a decision. Do I bring him back in to the group based on the decision that I made earlier and change? Or no, we're going in this direction and he's just not a part of it. I'm sorry.
I think it depends on the recruitment.
We'll get back to Rio in just a quick second, but remember, if you like this video, please like, share and subscribe, and don't forget to click the notification button so that you know when the next Big D video hits. And as ever, if something is on your mind, if something is bubbling up inside of you that you need to express, you know what to do. Put it in the comments. The Big D reads all of the comments and he's always interested in what is on your mind. Anyway, in this little clip, it's from one of Rio Ferdinand's recent podcasts. Could you call it a podcast with his brother and his little mate? And he's talking about Man United's recruitment since Alex Ferguson. And he's revealing some interesting and alarming statistics about how much money has been wasted on so many players at Manchester United. And he's comparing that with other clubs as well. But without further ado, we'll get to Rio, but stick around for after the clip because the Big D is going to be giving his thoughts on what is discussed in this little clip. Here's Rio.
We're talking about recruitment at Man United. I think it was good. We spoke to the guys behind the scenes to just do a little bit of a research for us and to look at some of the players. We're talking about recruitment.
Yeah.
And I'm not bringing it back to Man United, but I had a look at it. 49 players we brought in since Ferguson was here, right? 49 players Man United have recruited since Sir Alex Ferguson left the club. I went through it with a fine-tooth comb, and I think there's only 3 players that I would say that lived up to any type of expectation or the value that they were bought for.
In 49 players, really?
Zlatan came as a free, done his thing. Cristiano Ronaldo scored the goals you expected him to score. Came for 12.5 million pound. Bruno come for, what did Bruno come for? 47, rising to 67 based on some add-ons. But 47, they've gone above and beyond or anywhere near what we expected them coming. Everyone else,
that's mad.
Ahmad probably gets to it at some point, eventually, I think. But everybody else,
it's not looking good, bruv.
Like that is to improve. That is.
I'm not gonna lie, because I'm going through. I'm not gonna read everyone, but you've obviously got the likes of Fellaini. You got Juan Mata, who he came and he kind of did that. Herrera, who I think is probably one of the stronger cases.
Di Maria didn't live up to it. Like, wasn't given the chance to. Didn't stay long enough.
Depay. Darmian. Schweinsteiger was done. You know,
Mkhitaryan's still slapping it up at Inter. He's in the Champions League final.
He could be winning the Champions League.
Do you know what I mean? Like what he didn't, and it wasn't just that the players weren't good enough. The club fouled them as well. They didn't perform, but also the club fouled them as well. That's the point of it. The responsibility is shared here.
Sanchez,
boy, mad one. When you look at it, it's crazy.
Van der Beek, Telles,
and you know the ones who I would have kept.
Who?
Danny Welbeck, Chicharito. Ooh. Rafael da Silva, Fabio da Silva. Has anyone who's come in their positions done better than them than they would have done? There ain't no fullbacks that come in this club that have gone and you go, that's much better than someone like Rafael Fabio.
That's crazy, you know.
Dalot's done all right, to be fair. But
but that's all right.
But he's 19 million, whatever. But we let Chicharito go. What am I hearing here? When I heard that, and Welbeck.
Welbs was the one for
Welbeck and Chicharito. When I heard they were going, I was like, whoa. Why? Like, they're great. They've been great as squad players, but I can see us moving into a time where they can become starters now. Come on. The big players, the older players are leaving. The generation is a change over here. I can see a place for them in this team somewhere. Like, you're letting Chicharito go, who's scoring mad amount of goals on a regular basis. Danny Welbeck is impacting games with and without the ball. Look at Danny Welbeck now. What Man United will do to have my man now in the team?
I was checking out the comments. We read the comments, so please keep them flying in. And they were talking about how poor the recruitment has been at Manchester United.
Based on me saying it was shit last week.
So you said, yeah. But the funny thing is, I think you were right. So you went away and you did your research, right?
Oh, it's been Ahmad probably gets into that mate soon. I think where he's actually been value for money in a little while, because I think someone will pay what we paid for him minimum.
You know, when you look at from 2015 to 2024, I'm looking at some stats here done by the research team. Transfer fees committed by clubs. So you got Chelsea at 2.78 billion. All right. Well,
Wow.
they've won a Champions League in that time.
They're
so,
miles ahead of anyone in terms of funds.
yeah, I mean, we've got to get that checked out, by the way. Man City, another team that's got to get checked out, £1.96 billion. And then you got Manchester United third, £1.95 billion. Ooh.
We have spent that so unwisely, it's unreal.
This is in Europe, by the way, we're looking, because the team after you are Paris Saint-Germain at 1.9.
Mate, one of the most surprising ones is Real Madrid, 12th on that list. Do you know her 13th?
No way.
Do you know her 13th in spending? So Real Madrid spent 1.16 billion.
Yeah.
The next is 1.1 billion. Who is it? West Ham.
Yeah, we've spent some money.
After Real Madrid.
We have.
That
We've
is
spent some
nuts.
money.
I didn't know that. Above
have
Milan,
spent some
above
money.
Inter, above Villa, above Newcastle. What? I didn't know that, you know.
Yeah, we spent some money.
The two teams that are close to my heart, we're spending money like it's nothing.
But this
Like
is
we're in
what
a sweet
this.
shop.
But this is
Willy-nilly.
what. This is what, like, when fans talk about the ownership and stuff, and there's a lot of negativity around the ownership. I always say, like, the owners have done their
They've
job.
spent their money, innit?
Do you know what I mean?
Just spent it
The owner's job is to make sure that the club's financially stable and to put their money up to buy players. The owners have done that. Have we bought the right players? That's another discussion.
I think the fault of the owner, where you can point the finger at the owners at Man United and West Ham, is they've given license to the wrong people to go and spend that money. That's the problem. So that they've picked the wrong recruitment teams. Boy,
But you see,
they need me to come in.
When you look at Man United's transfers, for example, we went through the list earlier. Is it bad? Is it as bad as you thought it was, or do you reckon it's worse? Or?
It's rubbish, bruv. It ain't even like a question. It's rubbish. 49 players, and I can only see 3. There might be, I don't know, some people might be able to argue 1 or 2 more. But if we're saying 5 out of 49, it's horrendous.
Yeah.
It's horrendous. The recruitment team have done one of the worst jobs I've ever seen. In that sense, when you go through it like that, it's horrendous. It's so bad.
What's the situation with Rashford as well? Like, because obviously his loan time at Villa is going to be up. Like, is he from your Man United connections? That's why I'm asking you. Is he going?
I don't see that changing. I don't see that changing. I don't see Rashford coming back into Man United and them going right with open arms. Right, you've gone and rejuvenated yourself and rebuilt yourself. You're rehabilitated. We're going to welcome you back in. Let's go. I don't think that was ever the conversation. I just always thought it was like, you go to Villa or wherever you're going to go, rebuild yourself, reboot, let's reset,
And then you're gone.
and then you're gone. You go somewhere else. Someone buys you. If not Aston Villa, I still think that's where they're sat now. The only way he maybe gets back in is if there's no takers for a loan or for a permanent, and he's in there. So you've got to. But then the manager's got to make a decision. Do I bring him back in to the group based on the decision that I made earlier and change? Or no, we're going in this direction, and he's just not a part of it. I'm sorry.
I think it depends on the recruitment.
But I think there's other aspects of it. If you get, like, obviously, if you get into the Champions, you win the Europa League, you get in the Champions League. I'm sure it was said his money goes up astronomically as well.
Really?
Yeah,
I know Casemiro
he gets a rise.
does if you win.
So, like, is he going to want to go because he ain't going to get that money elsewhere?
That's the biggest problem. He's on massive dough. This is again back to recruitment and back to contracts. They're giving out massive contracts where players are going, I can't afford to leave because I'm going to be. Harry Maguire's a great example. If he's on 220 a week, and West Ham were in for him last season or the year before, and they're going, yeah, but we're capping it at 120. That's 100 grand a week. He's out of pocket.
Yeah.
No man in their right mind is saying, yeah. That's me.
Mm-hmm.
They're sitting down and going, right, I'll ride this wave.
Sterling.
No matter how hard it is. Sterling. Say Sterling's got 2 years left on his deal. Unless Chelsea are paying him up,
You're not going nowhere.
or teams willing to put that money and front up that money that he's on, or make it a similar, He's sitting there and saying, listen, I'll do another loan.
Same with Sancho.
Sancho will be the same.
Sancho will be the same.
They're not giving up this money.
He's another one.
And I don't make them wrong.
Yeah.
Got to look after yourself.
He's another one, Sancho. Is he going to be staying at the club this summer or not? I've heard Chelsea are willing to pay back the $5 million to have him back at Manchester United. Has that situation changed? Or
I think the difference is, right, you look at, for instance, so you've got Antony, Sancho, Rashford, 3 wingers for Man United, all out on loan. Antony's gone and set the world alight. Because you go Spain, my man's name is ringing. You go to Betis, he's like a superhero. Joaquin, one of their heroes, one of their national treasures at Betis, is saying, whatever it takes to keep him here, we do it.
Go fund me and all that.
Right? He's saying, do a whip round with the fans. Please, we've got to keep him. Right? Rashford ain't getting out of Villa, nor Sancho at Chelsea, right? So if anyone's going to be welcomed back into that club with open arms, it's going to be Antony, out of the 3 probably, when you look at it just like that. But even then, I don't even know if the manager brings him back. Because he's set his stall out and gone, this is what we're doing, and this is the way I want to play, and these guys don't fit. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when these guys come back in the pre-season. Are they even in the same change room as the first team? Where are they changing? Are they in a separate dressing room? Are they with the kids? Are they with 21s?
That's what happened.
Are they training with a group?
Wow. That's what
These are a lot of questions, and boy, some men have to humble themselves because they might be put with the 21s. They might not even see the first team training ground.
That's happened to me.
You know what? I had to have a little think about all the players that we've signed since Alex Ferguson, and I've been trying to tally up in my mind who have actually been any good. I mean, I think he's not far off there. I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't really put Cristiano there because for all the good that he did do, he disrupted a really solid locker room at the time. Ollie had that team purring, and we were looking up. We were trying to build on the previous 2 seasons when we got a 3rd and a 2nd finish, and we got to a European final, and we just signed Varane, and Ronaldo was just one signing too many at the time, and he was from a different generation, and he was just having the cat amongst the pigeons, and he undermined Harry Maguire as captain and all of that, and the morale in the dressing room just kind of plummeted, and the wheels came off. Ollie's at the wheels came off and all of that, and it just wasn't nice to see anymore. And yeah, Ronaldo's time had gone. I mean, don't get me wrong, at the time, I got suckered into the good feeling, and I was singing Viva Ronaldo and all of that, but really, and Ollie says himself that he probably shouldn't have signed him because we had a really good front 3 at the time. We had Martial when he was playing and fit. We had Mason Greenwood, who should still be at the club, and we had Marcus Rashford as well, who was actually playing quite well at the time. And then obviously supported by Bruno, and everything was centred around Bruno, and Bruno was having some of his best years at United at the time. He was scoring about 25 goals a season, plus getting about 25 assists as well. Some stupid, insane numbers. So I know, like, on the face of it, with Cristiano, it looked like he was good, but he did more damage. He did more damage than good to that particular team. So I wouldn't have put him there. Zlatan, definitely. He was good. He was good for that dressing room, actually. At least when he was taking the piss out of people and shouting at people, he was doing it with a cheeky smirk, and he was doing it with a glint in his eye. And, you took Zlatan seriously, but at the same time, he made you laugh, So I like Zlatan. Bruno, absolute talisman. He's been absolutely fantastic. He's still class to this day, and I will be gutted if he is sold. Will I be more gutted than when David De Gea got released? I don't know. It'll be quite equal, to be honest. But I would also put Luke Shaw in there as well. I know he's had his injury problems, but I think Luke Shaw, we got him for 30 mil, and considering we've had him for about 10 years, even though he's been injured for about 4 of those 10 years. 6 years of a solid, talented left back for 30 million. He's actually pretty good, to be fair. So I would put him in there. But I was looking at some other ones as well, and I'm struggling to find anyone that's like a real standout. Harry Maguire has been a solid defender, but he certainly hasn't been an £80 million defender. Sancho's been crap. Lukaku had some good moments at United, and he was actually quite prolific, but was he an £80 million or £75 million striker? I don't know. Mason Mount hasn't done anything. Casemiro's had one good season. Martial, he was too injury prone. I mean, you could see his goal against the Scousers on his debut was, worth 30 of the 50 million that we spent for him. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, 50 mil. I mean, Wan-Bissaka was a good player and he did all right. And the ironic thing is, we sold him last summer because Ten Hag didn't need him. But we got rid of Ten Hag 3 months later and he would have slotted right into Ruben Amorim's tactics, no problem. So that's been unfortunate. Nemanja Matic for 40 mil. Yeah, he was all right. He was all right. Daley Blind for 14. I mean, yeah, he was all right, but for 14 mil, fair enough. But, I mean, we're scraping the bucket here. There's so many players that just weren't right. And, I mean, going back to what Rio was saying there, United have spent a lot of money, and you've got to give the devil the due. And the Glazers, they did spend the money, but I've said this on other videos before. The mistake the Glazers made was the willful blindness. They didn't update Manchester United in terms of football project-wise in accordance with all the other top clubs in world football, or should I say on the continent. They didn't replace Fergie with another Fergie. They didn't understand what Fergie actually did. They tried to replace him with a head coach and it just didn't work out, and United just stopped thinking medium to long term, because one of the best things Fergie did was he always thought medium to long term. And I remember reading in one of his books, he said his focus wasn't always necessarily on the first team. His focus was a lot of the times on what the first team would be in 3 to 5 years. And he always kept his eye on, young players who could potentially make the step up soon, and obviously young players, at other clubs that he could potentially sort of nick, so to speak. And he had a really interesting way of blending. He never really signed Galacticos, Fergie. He did a couple of times, but I think he got stung with them, and that was Veron was a Galactico. And he got stung with Veron. It didn't quite work out, and I think he shied away from buying Galacticos. Throughout his time at Man United, he always tended to sort of get a really cool bargain, like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, for example. And then, or he would merge that with, some great up-and-coming talent like Scholes and Beckham and Giggs and all of that. Or he would buy a player that was on the cusp of becoming a Galactico, so to speak, like a Roy Keane, for instance, or a Rio Ferdinand. You could argue Rio Ferdinand was a Galactico, to be fair, because he was already a well-established Champions League player with Leeds, and we bought him off the back of a really good World Cup, and we bought him for a world record fee. So fair enough. Rio Ferdinand, ironically, doing this little commentary on one of his clips, was a Galactico, but we got our money's worth with Rio Ferdinand. He probably is the best defender in the history of the Premier League at this point, better than Virgil van Dijk. So any of you Scousers want to pipe up, you can pipe down there. Ferdinand was better than Virgil van Dijk, and that's that. That's what the big D says. Anyway, so he blended sort of up-and-comers with bargains and players on the cusp of becoming Galacticos. Very seldom did he go out and buy a Galactico. Very seldom did he go out and buy a Falcao or a Zlatan or a Di Maria or anyone like that. And he was always very, very, very good at buying players who could handle the responsibility of playing for Manchester United, and they could handle the pressure of the dreaded Man United microscope. But, we've got INEOS in there now, so hopefully they're going to think medium to long term. And that is encouraging. because I don't think they've had a misstep in the transfer market yet, but it's only been 12 months, so it'll be interesting to see who they buy this summer. Obviously, Cunha's on the verge of signing. We've already got Dorgu that we've got in Jan, who's going to be the striker, the big number 9 that we need. We shall see. I think next season will hinge on who's going to play up front for Manchester United. Rashford, I've heard his reps are talking to Barcelona. I can't see what he's going to add to Barcelona. I mean, perhaps the fact that La Liga is less physical might benefit him. A lot like how it's benefited Antony, speaking of. But I would personally like to see Antony given another shot in the Premier League, really. Because he has been fantastic. The only problem with that is we'll have an overabundance of players that can play in the number 10. Now, Anthony's a winger, obviously, so if he's going to come back, he might have to play right wing back, which might not necessarily be a bad thing. Yeah, right wing back for Antony might actually be not too bad. We'll see what happens. Because for the number 10 position so far, we've got Cunha's on the verge. There's 1. We've got Xerxes, there's 2. We've got Bruno 3, Mason Mount 4, Diallo 5. And then obviously we've got Antony, there's 6. So it's going to be tough, really. We'll see. There's going to be a lot of chopping and changing. Sancho, just stay away, please. Rashford, yeah, your time's up, pal. But yeah, I mean, United not thinking medium to long term, and it's a shame as well, because one of the things Big D enjoys doing from time to time is playing Football Manager, and a big reason why I like doing that is because I like to keep my finger on the pulse of all the up-and-coming wonder kids, and there's been so many players that have signed for some of our rivals for pretty decent money that we could have signed no problem, but we signed someone else instead. And it's like all the Football Manager fans who are United fans are watching who we're buying when we should have been buying other players, but then Man City are buying the players that we want to buy. I mean, players like Julian Alvarez, players like Ruben Diaz. I mean, Ruben Diaz, 50 million. 50 million, and we paid, and he got Player of the Year in his first season, and we paid 80 million for Harry Maguire. What was that all about? All us Football Manager fans knew about Erling Haaland 5 years before he made his breakthrough at Borussia Dortmund. Ollie knew about him. Ollie said he was available for 20 million euros or something stupid like that right before he broke through at Salzburg or whatever it was. You know, and even what was his name? Ralph Rangnick. The players that he recommended, Vlahovic, Diaz, who's just won the Premier League for Liverpool, and Julian Alvarez, who's completed football. He's won the World Cup, the Premier League, the treble, the Champions League, the Copa Libertadores. He's completed it. And these are players that we could have signed for reasonable money, but we just didn't buy him. Who did we get? Wout Weghorst. That just shows you. But yeah, I mean, Ralph Rangnick with Eric Ten Hag as director of football, with Eric Ten Hag as the head coach, would have been better than what we had at the time. But yeah, hopefully Wilcox does all right for us. But we'll see. But that's what we need to do. You know, we just need to hire someone to play Football Manager full time in one of those offices. You can pay him 30 grand a week, cheap as chips, just to compile a list of all the potential signings for reasonable money Man United can sign, and then they can go on and build a side that's going to dominate the Premier League again. It's very simple. It's very, very simple. And the ones that we do buy that make it will offset the ones that we buy that don't make it, or from a financial sense. But anyway, it's getting late. The Big D's had enough. What do you think? What do you think about our recruitment over the past 10 years or however long it's been? And what are your thoughts on the recruitment under INEOS right now? And how do you think it's going to manifest itself over the coming years? Do you think they'll get it right? Or do you think we are screwed? thoughts in the comments, and the Big D will see you in the next one.